Pretend to be my wife, a tale about a millionaire doctor and the shocking condition he asked for. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support truly means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. And now, let us return to our main character. The rain had begun its steady evening rhythm on the glass canopy above the hospital entrance, each drop catching the glow of the floodlights in a soft golden shimmer. Ava Ramirez stood just beneath the overhang, hugging her thin gray cardigan around her shoulders, her breath visible in the cool February air. Her shift had ended an hour ago, but she had nowhere urgent to go. Her apartment landlord had taped another notice to her door that morning. She had not opened it. She did not have the strength. Inside, the night staff of West Hill Medical Center moved with their usual clipped efficiency shoes, squeaking across polished tile, the faint scent of antiseptic drifting with every opening doorway. Ava watched them through the glass as if she lived outside the world they belonged to. She tightened her grip on her tote bag, the strap long since frayed, the corner stained from a spilled cup of instant noodles she once tried to make during a double shift. She was about to take a step into the drizzle when she heard a voice behind her. Ava. She froze. Only one person in the entire hospital said her name, in that calm, low register firm enough to demand attention, soft enough to unsettle her every time. She turned slowly and found Dr. Liam Hart, the youngest cardiothoracic surgeon in the building, and according to every gossip channel in the city, one of the wealthiest medical investors in the state. His white coat was open, revealing a tailored navy suit that looked far too expensive to be inside a hospital at midnight. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, sharp, steady, and a shade too perceptive, held her in place. "Dr. Hart, did I forget to finish a chart?" she asked quickly. "No. This is not about work," he said. That alone made her heart skip. Dr. Hart never discussed anything that was not work. He barely discussed work unless it was life or death. He stepped closer, the motion smooth, controlled, like every decision he made was pre-measured and rehearsed. Rain misted on his shoulders, glinting on the dark wool of his suit. "I need a favor," he said quietly. Ava blinked. A favor from her. She was a temporary administrative assistant on probation who might not make rent this month. He was a millionaire surgeon who owned half the research wing. "I think you have the wrong person," she whispered. "I do not," he replied. "I chose you." Her pulse thudded once hard. He glanced around as if ensuring no wandering nurses or residents were close enough to listen. Then he leaned in just slightly, his voice dropping to a whisper that brushed like warm breath against the cold air. "Ava, I need you to pretend to be my wife." The words slammed into her chest so abruptly she actually stepped back. "What? What are you talking about?" "A temporary arrangement," he said. 3 weeks, no more. I will compensate you generously." Her throat went dry. "Is this a joke? Does it look like I am joking?" His tone was flat, clinical, almost surgical. Ava tried to laugh, but the sound came out thin. "Dr. Hart? You barely know me." "I know enough," he said. "And I know that you are someone who can be trusted." Trusted. No one had said that word to her in months. Lightning cracked somewhere in the far distance, illuminating the outline of his face. Strong jaw, steady eyes, a tension locked beneath the surface that she never noticed before. He looked, cornered. That alone frightened her more than his request. "Why me?" she whispered. His next words came slowly, each one like a step he had debated for hours before finally taking. "Because he said you are the only person in this hospital who does not want anything from me." Ava stared at him, stunned rain beginning to dot her hairline. She opened her mouth, searching for an answer, any answer. But then he added the one condition that froze her completely. "There is one rule," he said. "If you agree to this, you must never under any circumstances fall in love with me." The rain kept falling. The world kept moving. But Ava Ramirez could not. She stood rooted to the spot, breath caught somewhere between disbelief and the sudden dangerous truth that this man had no idea what he had just asked of her. Because rules were easy to write, but impossible to control, and that was the beginning of everything she never saw coming. The rain eased into a mist as Ava Ramirez followed Dr. Liam Hart through the quiet corridor of West Hill Medical Center. Part of her hoped he would suddenly turn around and admit this was a misunderstanding. But he walked with the same decisive stride he used in surgery, each step cutting through doubt. They stopped near the private consultation lounge, the only place on the floor with soft lighting instead of harsh fluorescence. Liam motioned for her to sit. She hesitated but obeyed, her fingers clutching the edge of the chair as if it were the only solid thing she had left. He removed his wet suit jacket, draped it over a chair, and exhaled for what felt like the first time that night. "Ava," he said, "I understand this sounds extreme, but I need someone who can stay composed, who can follow instructions, and who does not have an agenda with my family." "You could have asked anyone," she said quietly. "Why involve me?" "Because anyone else would say yes for the wrong reasons," he replied. "Money, power, name recognition. You come to work, you do your job, and you leave. You do not hover around me, you do not flatter me, and you do not try to be noticed." Ava felt her cheeks warm in embarrassment. "That is because I am here to keep my job, not chase a fantasy. That," he said, "is exactly why I chose you." He sat across from her and pulled a thin folder from his briefcase. She stared at it already, sensing the weight of what was inside. "This is the agreement," he said. "Temporary. Clear terms. 3 weeks. No physical expectations. You will attend 4 events with me, stay in my residence for appearances, and maintain the role of my wife." Her voice cracked. "Why do you even need a wife?" His jaw clenched before he answered. "The hospital board is reviewing my proposal to expand the cardiac research facility. My family's foundation has influence, and they are pushing back because they claim I live without stability. They want someone who represents commitment, grounded values, a partner." "So, you want me to be proof that you are stable," she said, almost laughing. His expression did not waver. "Yes." The honesty hit her harder than any lie would have. He continued, "The first board review happens in 4 days. If I arrive alone, they will assume I am exactly who the tabloids say I am. A man who cannot maintain a relationship and therefore cannot be trusted with a long-term project." "And if you arrive with a wife," she asked, "then they will not question my capability. They will not stall funding, and I can secure everything my team has worked for." Ava looked down at her trembling hands. "I am not a woman who belongs in your world. You are the only woman who does not want anything from my world," he said. Silence swept over the room again. Her mind spun through every unpaid bill, every threat from her landlord, every time her life had felt like it was slipping through her fingers. And yet saying yes to him felt equally terrifying. "What happens if I mess this up?" she asked. "You will not," he said, with complete certainty. "And if someone finds out this is fake, they will not," he told her. "I will handle the risk." Ava swallowed hard. "And the rule, the one you set outside," he nodded once. "You must not fall in love with me. It will complicate everything. I want clarity. No blurred lines, no expectations." His tone was steady, but there was something behind his eyes, something unspoken, as if the rule was meant for him just as much as for her. Ava sat back, heartbeat pounding. "And what about you? Are you allowed to fall in love?" His gaze flickered for the briefest moment. Then he closed the folder. "That will not happen." The certainty in his voice did not sound like confidence. It sounded like fear. Ava breathed out slowly. "If I say yes, what happens next?" Liam straightened his coat and answered with the same precision he used to plan a surgery. "Then tomorrow morning I will send a car to bring you to Hart residence. You will be fitted for clothes, briefed on my schedule, and prepared for the first event." He paused before adding more quietly, "And I will make sure you are safe, no matter what." She stared at him, caught between disbelief and the unsettling truth that her life had just tilted into a place she never imagined. And somewhere inside her chest, a small voice whispered the one thing she refused to admit. This man was far more dangerous than the contract he offered, because he looked like someone impossible to love, and even more impossible not to. The next morning arrived colder than expected, the kind of chill that seeped through thin curtains and woke Ava Ramirez before her alarm ever could. She lay still for a moment, staring at the cracked ceiling of her small apartment, wondering if the events of last night had been nothing more than exhaustion mixing with imagination. But then her phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Liam Hart. "The car will arrive in 15 minutes. Pack essentials only." Reality settled over her like a heavy blanket. She sat up quickly, her heart pounding, and looked around her room. Her entire life fit into 2 drawers and a single closet. Essentials were not hard to choose. A pair of jeans, 2 shirts, her worn sneakers, a single black dress from a thrift store, and the only pair of earrings she owned. She shoved them into her tote bag, the fabric sagging, as if protesting the weight of change she was forcing it to carry. Outside, a sleek black sedan pulled up in front of the building, completely out of place among the fading paint and dented mailboxes. The car door opened, and a driver in a dark suit stepped out. "Miss Ramirez?" he asked politely. Ava nodded, embarrassed by the peeling paint on the stair railing behind her. She climbed into the back seat, clutching her tote bag against her chest. The interior smelled of clean leather and cedar, a sharp contrast to the faint mildew of her apartment building. As the car rolled through the city, Ava could not help but feel everything familiar, shrinking behind her, while something overwhelming rose ahead. They approached a gated driveway lined with tall trees and sculpted hedges. A brass plaque, read the Hart residence. Ava's breath caught. She had Googled the Hart family estate once out of curiosity, but the photos did not come close to the real thing. The mansion was enormous, built of stone and glass, perched on a hill overlooking the water. Every detail shouted old money and pristine order. The driver opened her door. "Dr. Hart is waiting inside," he said. Ava stepped forward hesitantly, the cold morning air brushing her cheeks. The massive front doors opened before she could reach them, revealing a woman in her late 50s, wearing a discreet black uniform and a warm but professional expression. "Good morning, Miss Ramirez. I am Margaret, the head housekeeper. Please come in. Dr. Hart is in his office." Ava followed her through a hallway lined with framed medical patents and awards. She stopped briefly at a photograph of a younger Liam receiving a research honor, his expression proud but somehow lonely. She wondered how long he had lived in this house, and whether anything inside it ever truly felt like home. Margaret led her to a large office with tall windows overlooking the water. Liam stood near the desk reviewing a stack of papers. When he looked up, his eyes met hers with a directness that sent a shiver through her. "You arrived on time," he said. "Good." Ava tried to steady herself. "I did not want to mess up on the first day." "You will not mess up," he replied simply. He gestured toward a chair. "Sit. There are details you need to understand." She sat, hands folded in her lap. "Over the next 3 weeks," he began, "you will attend 4 events. The first is the Hart Foundation Board gathering tomorrow evening. The second is a brunch with hospital investors. The third is a gala. The last is a private review dinner." Ava swallowed. "Those all sound intimidating." Liam's gaze softened for half a second. "You will be prepared." Almost on cue, Margaret entered again with a tablet and a clipboard. "Miss Ramirez, we will go over wardrobe etiquette and schedule. There is a stylist arriving this afternoon." Ava blinked. "A stylist? For me, yes," Liam said. "Appearances matter in these circles. You will need to fit in." The words stung a little. Not delivered cruelly, but truthfully, as if he had long accepted how his world functioned. She nodded, reminding herself she agreed to this. He continued. "There are a few rules you must follow." Her breath caught. This was the part she feared. "No discussing personal finances in public," he said first. "No acknowledging that this is an arrangement. If anyone asks how we met you, we'll use the story I provide." Ava nodded slowly. "Understood." He watched her carefully, as if evaluating every flicker of emotion on her face. And finally he said, "There is the rule I already told you." She felt her pulse skip. "The one about not falling in love." "Yes." The room felt suddenly too quiet. Ava forced herself to breathe as Margaret stepped forward again. "Miss Ramirez, if you are ready, we will begin preparations. It will be a long day." Ava stood gripping her tote bag for courage. "I am ready." But when she turned to follow Margaret, she felt Liam's gaze linger on her deeper than before. There was something in it that looked almost like conflict, quickly extinguished before she could make sense of it. As she stepped into the hallway, she realized something undeniable. This arrangement was supposed to be simple, but nothing about Liam Hart felt simple, and she had a feeling that the hardest part of this agreement was only beginning. The rest of the day unfolded faster than Ava Ramirez could keep up with. One moment she stood inside the grand hallway of the Hart residence, clutching her tote bag like a shield, and the next, she found herself ushered into a bright dressing room filled with mirrors, soft lighting, and neatly arranged clothing. racks that did not look like they belonged on the same planet as her thrift store wardrobe. The stylist Elena greeted her with a warm smile that eased some of the tension building in Ava's chest. "Miss Ramirez, we have a lot to do today. Dr. Hart gave us your schedule. You will need 4 formal outfits, 2 semi-formal looks and 1 gown." "1 gown?" Ava asked, startled. "For the gala," Elena said gently, "you will be standing beside a man who influences this city. People will pay attention." Ava exhaled slowly. "No pressure at all." Elena laughed softly. "Do not worry. We will make sure you fit in perfectly." The next 3 hours became a whirlwind of fabric swatches, fitted dresses, high heels, and color palettes. Ava stepped into outfits she would never normally touch, watching her reflection transform little by little. She hardly recognized the woman staring back at her. There was a strange mix of excitement and dread in her stomach, as if she was stepping into a version of herself that did not belong to her at all. During a brief break, she stood near the window, sipping water, and staring at the ocean view behind the mansion. The waves churned in steady rhythm, as if the world did not care that her life had flipped upside down overnight. Elena approached with a clipboard. "Next, we will do etiquette." Ava blinked. "Etiquette. Like posture and napkins, and things like that." "Yes," Elena replied. "How to stand beside him, how to exit a car, how to greet donors, and how to keep composure if someone tries to undermine you." Ava's shoulders tightened. "Is that common?" In his circles, Elena sighed. "Very. They practiced greetings, hand placement, turns and pauses, proper eye contact, even how to loop her arm through Liam's for photos or formal entries." At first, Ava felt awkward, her movements stiff and unsure, but with each repetition her body adjusted. Still, it felt unreal. As daylight shifted into a soft orange glow, Margaret entered the room. "Dr. Hart is requesting you in the main hall." Ava's pulse raced. "Now, yes," Margaret said. "He wishes to see your progress." Ava followed her through the mansion, her dress swaying with each nervous step. When they reached the bottom of the staircase, Liam stood near the grand entrance reviewing documents while waiting for her. The late afternoon sun cast warm light across his face, sharpening the lines of focus that rarely faded. He looked up, and for the first time since she met him, his expression visibly changed. For a brief, undeniable moment he stared at her, as if he had forgotten what he was supposed to say. Ava shifted uncomfortably. "Is something wrong?" He cleared his throat. "No. You. Look prepared." She tried not to read too much into it. Elena helped a lot. He nodded, stepping closer with an assessing gaze that sent a strange flutter beneath her ribs. "Tomorrow's event will be intense. People will be watching our every move. We need to appear united." "United," she repeated, unsure. "Yes. As if we are a married couple," he said carefully. "Not distant, not awkward." Ava forced a steady breath. "I will try my best." "This is not about trying," he said. "This is about believing you belong beside me." His words hit her unexpectedly hard. Before she could respond, he extended his arm. "Let us practice." She placed her hand lightly on his forearm. He guided her toward the dining hall, walking in step beside her. She tried to focus on her posture, the rhythm of their movements, the practiced grace Elena had drilled into her. But the closer Liam stood, the more difficult it became to ignore the quiet intensity that always surrounded him, an energy that felt controlled but barely. When they reached the dining room doorway, she stepped back instinctively, but Liam stopped, turned to her, and said in a low voice, "Ava, do not shrink yourself. Not here. Not beside me." Her breath caught. "I am trying." "You do not need to try," he said. "You need to believe." There was no judgment in his tone, no impatience. Only something steady and grounding, something she did not expect from a man known for cold precision. Margaret entered with a silver tray and cleared her throat gently. "Dinner is ready." Liam nodded, then looked at Ava. "Join me." Ava hesitated but followed him to the long dining table. 2 place settings, soft golden lighting, a meal that smelled better than anything she had eaten in months. She sat across from him, feeling strangely small in the spacious room, but Liam spoke softly, guiding the moment, with unexpected calm. "This dinner is practice," he said. "Tomorrow you will sit beside me at a table full of people who want to see me fail. They will judge every gesture, every glance, every breath. Ava swallowed. I understand. Good, he said, because whether you realize it or not, you will be my anchor in that room. Her eyes lifted to his slowly. There it was again, that flicker of honesty beneath the layers he always kept locked away. And in that moment Ava realized something deeper than fear. Liam Hart was not just asking her to play a role. He was trusting her with something far more fragile than his reputation. He was trusting her with himself. The next day arrived with a quiet tension that pressed against the walls of the Hart residence. Ava Ramirez woke early, her stomach knotted with nerves as sunlight filtered through the tall bedroom windows Margaret had shown her to the night before. She dressed in the soft terracotta dress Elena had chosen for the event, smoothing the fabric with trembling hands before stepping into the hall. Downstairs, the atmosphere felt different. Staff moved with a sense of purpose, arranging last-minute details for Liam's schedule. Margaret approached with a calm smile. The car will be ready in 10 minutes. Dr. Hart is waiting in the west parlor. Ava nodded, trying to steady her breath. This was no longer just practice. This was the moment she would appear beside a man whose entire world watched him like a hawk. When she entered the parlor, Dr. Liam Hart stood near the fireplace in a tailored dark suit, adjusting his cuffs with surgical precision. He looked composed, but tension sharpened the line of his shoulders. His eyes lifted when she stepped into the room. He froze. Just for a second, just long enough for her to see something real flicker behind his controlled expression. "You look," he began, then paused, choosing his words carefully. "Prepared." Ava gave a small, nervous smile. "I hope that is true." "It is," he said. "Walk with me." He offered his arm. She took it, feeling the controlled strength beneath the fabric of his suit as they made their way through the foyer and out toward the waiting car. The driver opened the door, and Liam guided her inside with practiced formality. As the car pulled onto the main road, Ava stared at the cityscape passing by, her heartbeat quickening as they neared the Hart Foundation board gathering. Liam's voice broke the silence. "There will be people who try to provoke you," he said. "Some out of curiosity, some out of jealousy, some because they believe I do not deserve what I am building." Ava turned slightly toward him. "And what do I say to them?" "You say nothing," he replied softly. "Your presence beside me is enough." The words settled over her like a strange kind of armor. When they arrived at the foundation building, flash photography sparked from the steps. Donors, board members, and reporters filled the entrance hall. Liam stepped out first, then extended his hand to help her exit the car. The moment she placed her hand in his, a wave of whispers swept through the crowd. "That is his wife. Where did she come from? She does not look like someone from his circle. Is that real? Or another rumor?" Ava felt her pulse jump, but Liam leaned slightly toward her. Eyes forward, he murmured, "You are doing well." Together they ascended the steps. Inside, chandeliers glittered overhead as waiters weaved between guests carrying trays of champagne. A group of sharply dressed board members approached, led by a woman with silver hair and a calculating smile. "Dr. Hart," she said, her voice smooth as glass, "and you must be the wife we have heard so much about." Ava tried to breathe steadily. "It is very nice to meet you." The woman's eyes flicked over Ava's dress, her posture, her hair, searching for weakness. "And how long have you two been married?" Ava opened her mouth, but Liam answered first, his voice warm enough to silence any suspicion. "Long enough to know I made the right decision." For a moment the board member's smile faltered. They moved deeper into the hall, Liam guiding Ava with subtle cues. He never gripped her arm, never pushed, never forced, just light touches and quiet direction, as if he understood her nerves without needing her to say a word. At their assigned table, others introduced themselves with polite interest, but there were still lingering looks, quiet whispers, eyes that questioned everything. Halfway through dinner, a man across the table leaned forward with an overly smug grin. "So Ava," he said loudly, "what exactly made you fall for our brilliant doctor here?" Ava felt her spine stiffen. This was the moment Elena warned her about. But before she could speak, Liam's voice cut in, calm, steady, protective. "That is not an appropriate question," he said smoothly. "And you know it." The man straightened, embarrassed. Ava inhaled quietly. Liam glanced at her once, just once, and in that moment she understood. He was not simply protecting the facade. He was protecting her. The rest of the dinner unfolded with far less resistance. Conversations shifted. Doubts softened. By the time dessert arrived, the skeptical eyes had turned curious, even accepting. When the evening finally ended, and they stepped back into the night air. Ava let out a breath she had been holding for hours. "You handled them," Liam said quietly as the driver opened the car door. "No," she replied softly. "We handled them." For the first time since this arrangement began, Liam's expression broke into the faintest hint of something that looked almost like a real smile. And Ava realized that tonight was not just a performance, it was the first time they had truly stood side by side. The ride back to the Hart residence was quiet in the most unexpected way. Ava Ramirez sat beside Dr. Liam Hart in the back seat of the black sedan, the soft hum of the engine filling the silence between them. But it was not an uncomfortable silence. It felt steady, grounded, almost like both of them were processing what had just happened at the foundation gathering. Ava finally exhaled long and slow. "I did not realize how overwhelming those events could be. They are worse when you face them alone," Liam said. She looked at him. His gaze stayed forward, but his tone gave away more than his expression did. There was a trace of exhaustion beneath the calm, a vulnerability she had not noticed before. "You handled yourself well," he added. Ava let out a soft laugh. "I thought my heart was going to fall out of my chest when that woman asked about our marriage." "You kept your composure," he said. "That is what matters." He glanced at her then, a brief look, but enough to send a tiny spark of warmth through her. He was not complimenting her out of politeness. He meant it. When they arrived at the mansion, the staff had already dimmed the lighting for the evening. Warm golden light illuminated the halls, and the soft sound of ocean waves rolled through the open balcony doors. Ava slipped off her heels, quickly wincing as her sore feet touched the cool marble floor. Liam noticed. "Does it hurt?" "Only a little," she said, trying to laugh it off. He gestured to the staircase. "Come with me." She hesitated. "Why?" "There is something you should see." Ava followed him upstairs to a quiet lounge overlooking the water. Liam walked to a small cabinet near the wall and opened it. Inside were several boxes of different sizes. He took a slim one from the top shelf and handed it to her. "Open it," he said. Ava lifted the lid carefully. Inside was a pair of soft cream-colored flats, elegant, simple, and far more comfortable than the heels she had worn all evening. She blinked. "These are beautiful, but why are you giving them to me?" "You will be attending multiple events," Liam said. "Comfort matters. You do not need to suffer to fit in." She looked up at him slowly. "That is very thoughtful." "It is practical," he corrected. But the slight shift in his expression told her otherwise. He had noticed her discomfort hours ago and remembered. That was not practicality. That was something else. Ava set the box down gently. "Today meant a lot to you, did it not?" Liam moved toward the window, hands in his pockets, staring at the dark horizon. "The board needed to see that I am not the chaos they paint me to be. I have spent years building that project. I cannot let them destroy it because of my personal life." "And you think a pretend wife will fix that?" Ava asked softly. "No," he said. "I think the right partner beside me will show them I am not who they fear I am." He turned toward her then. His eyes, usually sharp and unreadable, carried something fragile. "You helped me more than you know." Ava felt her chest tighten. She was supposed to be playing a role, just a role, but moments like this blurred the line between the contract and something far more dangerous. She spoke softly, barely above a whisper. "I am glad I could help." They stood there for a long moment, the distant waves filling the quiet space between them. Then Liam straightened slightly. "Get some rest, Ava. Tomorrow will be another long day." She nodded and turned toward the hallway. But before she stepped away, he added one more thing, quiet, almost hesitant. "And Ava, thank you. Truly." She paused, her hand brushing the doorframe. "Good night, Dr. Hart. Good night." As she walked back to her room, Ava realized something she could no longer ignore. Tonight was the first time Liam Hart had let her see the man behind the reputation, and that made everything far more complicated than any rule in their agreement. The following morning began calmly, almost deceptively so. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows of the Hart residence, casting soft patterns across the polished floors. Ava Ramirez stepped into the kitchen, still adjusting to the idea that this enormous house now held a room with her name on the door. Margaret greeted her with a warm smile. "Breakfast is on the terrace. Dr. Hart is already outside." Ava nodded and walked through the arched hallway toward the ocean-facing terrace. She expected the same composed, controlled man she had spent the past few days with. But the moment she saw Liam Hart, she knew something was wrong. He stood rigidly near the table, a tablet in hand, his jaw locked so tightly it looked painful. The veins in his temple were visible. His entire posture radiated tension. "Good morning," Ava said cautiously. He did not answer right away. Instead, he turned the tablet toward her. On the screen was a headline from a gossip site, "Who is Liam Hart's mystery wife? Staff claims she came out of nowhere." Another line beneath it, "Rumors suggest the marriage is rushed, secretive, and likely not real." Ava felt her stomach drop. "How did they even find out so quickly?" "Someone leaked it," Liam said, voice flat. "Someone inside the foundation or inside my family's circle." Ava stepped closer. "Do they know anything specific?" "Our arrangement." "No," he said firmly, "but speculation spreads faster than truth." His eyes shifted to her, filled with something tight and dangerous: fear, frustration, protectiveness. "This article is nothing compared to what is coming. They will dig, they will pry, they will question you, and some will try to humiliate you to get to me." Ava swallowed hard. "Why would they humiliate me?" "Because you are not the woman they expected to stand beside me," Liam said, "and because they assume that if you are not from their world, you must be weak." Ava tightened her grip on the chair beside her. "I am not weak. I know," Liam said softer now, "but I also know how merciless these people can be." Before she could respond, Margaret hurried outside holding Liam's phone. "Dr. Hart, you need to take this. It is the foundation office." Liam stepped aside to answer, and Ava remained on the terrace staring at the ocean while bits of his conversation drifted toward her. "No, the article is not accurate. No, my private life is not up for review. No, I will not allow this to affect the board meeting." Each reply sharpened with rising frustration until finally he ended the call and rejoined her. "They are worried the article will overshadow yesterday's progress," he said. "They want reassurance that you and I are legitimate." Ava looked down. "And what did you tell them? That you are my wife," he said without hesitation. "That our partnership is stable, and that we will attend the upcoming brunch as planned." Ava blinked. "Liam, is that not risky?" "It is necessary," he said. He walked closer, lowering his voice. "Listen to me carefully. Someone is testing us. They want to see if you will crack under pressure." Her breath hitched. "Why target me?" "Because they know they cannot break me directly," Liam replied. "So they will try to break the person standing beside me." A chill ran up Ava's spine. He stepped even closer, too close, and lowered his voice to a quiet, steady whisper. "You will not face this alone." Ava felt something shift inside her. Fear, yes, but also a strange certainty that for the first time in years someone was willing to stand in front of her rather than behind her. "Liam," she said softly, "I will not back out. I told you I would help." His expression changed just slightly, but enough for her to see the weight lifting from his shoulders. "Good," he said, "because what happens today will decide how the next 2 weeks unfold." Ava nodded even though her pulse was racing. "What do we do now?" Liam took a slow breath. "We prepare, and we stay ahead of whoever is trying to pull us apart." He glanced at the ocean, then back at her. "And Ava, this is the part of the arrangement that becomes dangerous. People will try to twist everything they see. But no matter what they say, do not let them decide who you are." She met his gaze steady and unflinching. "I will not." And in that moment both of them understood something neither dared to say out loud. This was no longer just a contract. This was a battle, and they were in it together. The brunch event took place the next morning at a private garden terrace overlooking the city. Soft music played, crystal glasses clinked, and polished conversations drifted through the air. But Ava Ramirez felt the tension long before she and Dr. Liam Hart reached the entrance. Eyes turned the moment they arrived. Whispers followed. "That is her. She does not fit. Why would he choose someone like that?" Liam felt Ava hesitate, and without a second thought he reached for her hand. His grip was steady, grounding. "Do not let them shake you," he murmured. Together they stepped inside. At first everything seemed manageable. A few polite greetings, a few measured smiles. But halfway through the event, a woman in a navy dress, someone clearly influential, approached with a sharp, assessing gaze. So she said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, "You are the woman who married Dr. Hart in secret." Ava kept her expression calm. It was a private moment. A private moment or a strategic one, the woman pressed. Some people are whispering that this marriage is not real." A hush fell. Faces turned toward them. Ava felt her chest tighten, but before she could speak, the woman added with a cold smile, "Tell me, my dear, what exactly does a woman like you bring to a man like him?" Her words sliced through the air. Ava opened her mouth, but Liam stepped forward, placing himself fully between Ava and the woman. "That is enough," he said sharply. The woman lifted a brow. "I am only asking what everyone else is thinking. And everyone else," Liam said, voice tight with controlled anger, "knows better than to insult my wife." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Liam continued, "Ava brings honesty, humility, and integrity. Qualities that do not come with a price tag. Qualities many people in this room have forgotten." The woman stepped back, taken off guard by the force in his voice. Liam took Ava's hand again deliberately, publicly, and lifted it just slightly, a symbolic declaration. "I chose her," he said, "and I would choose her again." People looked away, murmuring, unsure how to respond to a defense that powerful, that public. Ava's heartbeat thundered as Liam guided her toward the exit. Only when they were outside, away from the stares and whispers, did he let out a long breath. "Are you all right?" he asked. Ava nodded slowly. "I did not expect you to defend me like that." "You were attacked," he said simply. "And I will not allow anyone to treat you as if you are less than them." There was no performance in his voice, no calculation, only sincerity. Ava looked up at him, feeling something shift in the space between them, something neither contract nor rule could contain. And for the first time, she wondered if Liam's rule was already beginning to crumble. The ride back from the brunch felt different from every other moment Ava Ramirez had lived beside Dr. Liam Hart. The tension, the whispers, the confrontation, it all replayed in her mind. But what stayed with her most was the way Liam had stood in front of her, not as part of a contract, but as someone who refused to let her be diminished. When they arrived at the Hart residence, the evening sun cast a warm glow across the entry hall. Ava stepped inside, still feeling the weight of the day. Liam followed her, closing the door behind them with deliberate calm. "Ava," he said quietly, "I meant every word I said today." She turned her fingers curling around the strap of her bag. "You defended me in front of everyone. That was not part of the agreement." "No," he said. "It was not." He walked closer slowly, as if giving her space to retreat if she needed it. "You stood beside me through everything. The questions, the rumors, the attempts to humiliate you. You never faltered." Ava felt her throat tighten. "I was afraid." "Courage is not the absence of fear," he replied. "It is choosing to stand anyway." For a moment there was only quiet, the kind of quiet that revealed everything words tried to hide. Then Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out the original contract. He set it on the nearby table. "This," he said, "is no longer necessary." Ava stared at it. "What do you mean?" "I mean that this arrangement stopped being pretend a long time ago, at least for me." Her breath caught. "Liam." He held her gaze, no distance, no walls, no rehearsed composure. "The rule was meant to protect both of us. I broke it first." Ava felt her heart swell with something she had tried to bury since the moment she first stepped into his world. Slowly she placed her hand over his. "I broke it too." A quiet smile touched his lips, the first true smile she had ever seen from him. He intertwined his fingers with hers. "Then let us start again, not as a contract, not as a performance, but as something real." Ava nodded, tears warming her eyes. "I would like that." Liam exhaled softly, as if releasing years of pressure. "Ava, this time I choose you without conditions." And as the last light of the day filled the room, Ava realized that the role she had agreed to play had become the life she truly wanted. Not the wife he needed for the world, but the partner he chose for himself.